At this point, I'm not surprised by very much. And keeping options open seems to be part of the game plan. But yes, it seems unlikely.
I will point out that I've come on this show several times. Yeah. And I've pointed out that the president had not said anything about the Fed chair since the election. And that there were some who I was talking to who thought, you know what, maybe that silence is telling us something. And then when we think about what the president said as candidate Trump and what he may want as president, Lou, in your experience, is there a president who has wanted higher interest rates?
Not in my experience. And, a certain part of the electorate definitely wanted to see higher interest rates. But one of the things we were seeing in the last segment is that these rate hikes are not flowing through to deposit rates that the retail investors get. And so the benefit here is all to the financial markets.
Does it take time to get those deposit rates up? Do they ever actually rise? Or
after the first 100 basis points, then it starts flowing through.
You need 100 basis points of hike in order to see an increase?
For it to really be material, yes.
For a lot of people who live on savings in their deposits, that's a long time.
But that's good for banks. If you're living on the revenue. So that means that the net interest margin, if the Fed keeps raising rates, should do better for
at least for another 1 or 2 rate hikes.
Let's go back to convention. You've been around a decent amount of time. It was convention for a president not to talk about the dollar and not to talk about interest rates. I mean, convention is convention. There's no particular reason for it. There's no law about it. Is it okay for President Trump to say he wants rates lower?
Lots of presidents have made comments indirectly, and as long as it's not perceived as bashing the Fed, then I don't think there's a real problem.
But it might feel like he's telling the Fed what to do. And by the way, it's not just the interest rates, it was also the dollar that he spoke about.
It depends on how far it goes. In the context of the kinds of debates that we've been having, this didn't seem extreme. All the rules have changed. And if we get to the point where it really seems as if he's firing a warning shot across their bows, that's different.
And what about the dollar? This goes back to Robert Rubin, if not more than that, who said the idea that, hey, all we're going to say is that a strong dollar is in the U.S. interest, and that's all the Treasury Secretary has really said for the last, what do you want to say, 30 years, 25 years or so. Yeah. Does it matter now that the president says the dollar is too low or too strong?
It would matter if we still had the same button-down approach to communications with markets that we used to, but where everything is chaotic, a comment like that has much less impact in the long run.
Can I ask, how much influence when the president says that? You are somebody who has clients, and you got to tell them where you think the dollar interest rates might go. So when President Trump says he prefers lower interest rates and he thinks the dollar is too strong, how much does that translate into reality and what you tell your clients into terms how those markets will actually be affected?
It reassures me about what the policy outlook for the next year or two is, because we're going to get a raft of new appointees from the Trump administration, and many of the people who were jockeying for those positions felt that the only way they could qualify themselves was to have this very doctrinaire rejection of the easy money policies of the last few years. The hope for staying on a gradual rate path depends on the incoming Fed appointees.
So this makes it more likely that there's going to be?
Exactly.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.